Rob Dauster here. I got Jeff Goodman with me.
Hell no.
John Henson.
Are we still live?
Field of 68 till I die.
I'm sorry, man. I blacked out.
Randolph Childress.
DJ Khaled, you know the big DJ Khaled guy?
Hands thrown up and in.
Goodman needs to be fired all the time.
Josh Pastner.
You're going to beat people straight up.
You know the deal.
They have no swag. They have no nothing.
Terrell McNeil.
From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors.
This is Field of 68 after dark.
Well, the night that we've been waiting for is here. Tonight, college basketball will crown a men's national champion. And this is the perfect title game matchup. You have the best two teams in the sport all season long. About them from October on, with expectations, with buzz, with hype, with two totally contrasting coaches, with two 7-foot monsters, taller than that, ready to be on this stage in the spotlight. In the desert tonight, a fitting champion will be crowned. It's Connecticut seeking repeat history, something we haven't seen in this sport in close to 2 decades. It's the Purdue Boilermakers in their first national championship game since man walked the moon. Tonight is going to rule. And we welcome you to BetMGM. We're at Flanker Sports Bar here outside of State Farm Stadium on the Field of 68 with this wonderful crew. Jeff Goodman, Rob Dauster, Randolph Childress. Are you ready to run through a wall?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, that opening, damn right I am. I mean, that was fantastic. And I hope the game lives up to the hype. That's the biggest thing, right? We hope the game lives up to the hype because this is what we wanted. Everything, the storylines, the players, the culture, the coaches, you name it. I just hope it lives up to the hype.
It's not always that you get the national championship games that you want, right? It's not always that you end up with a situation where the perfect coming together of the two teams everyone wanted to see play, the two players everyone wanted to see go head-to-head, the two fan bases that we know are going to show up and show out, right? I'm so excited for this game. I've had so much fun down here in Phoenix, if you can tell by my voice, and I'm ready for this game to get here. You know,
It's time to play, man. Let's go. It's time to tip it up. Let's go. It ain't enough talking. It's just time to throw the ball up and let's go out there and play.
We will get to the matchup in a few moments, but rarely would you say that 24 hours before a national championship game in men's college basketball that you would have a story potentially rival it. But John Calipari found a way to steal the spotlight in the sport last night. It is an all-time shocking move in college hoops history. Cal leaving Kentucky after 15 years, 4 Final Fours, a national championship, but 5 disappointing seasons in a row. Now taking the job with the Arkansas Razorbacks, taking over for Eric Musselman, getting a 5-year contract reportedly, and getting a boatload of assets from Fayetteville. And who do Arkansas fans have to thank? John Tyson and his family. A lot of Tyson chicken was bought. Now that we've had this move, there's no official announcement out yet. It's happening. What are your thoughts now that you've had time to think about this?
So I think it was a move that John Calipari had to make. He was miserable. Do you want to wake up every day walking your dog, as he was doing earlier when one media person went up to him, and get kind of either talked about everywhere you go? You can hear the whispers, right? I think he had to go, and this was, well, I've talked about it. I think it's the second best job in the SEC. It's a basketball job. You can tell me all about Texas you want. They don't give a shit at Texas like they do at Arkansas about hoops. They've got all the resources. We're seeing it. And I think it's a win for everybody. Cal had to get the hell out. Kentucky gets out from that buyout, the $32 million. They're off the books for that. And Arkansas gets a guy that they're going to be relevant one way or the other. Either it's going to be a complete train wreck, and they're still going to be relevant because everybody in the sport is going to be watching John Calipari, whether he succeeds or he fails.
Yeah, that's the thing about it to me is that Coach Cal is one of the guys in college basketball that transcends the sport. that breaks through just college basketball fans, right? Like everybody in college basketball knows who Matt Painter is, but I don't know if people that don't love college basketball, that maybe casual fans that just tune
no
in
idea
to the tournament,
no idea.
They're not going to know who Matt Painter is. They know who John Calipari is, and he immediately makes Arkansas. You talk about winning the press conference. I don't know if you can win a press conference bigger than being able to say, I stole Kentucky's basketball coach. Because that's what Arkansas can say right now. And we could argue whether or not it's actually going to work. We can argue about whether or not John Perry is $1 a year. We can argue about whether or not he's going to be able to get it going at Arkansas the way he had it going when he first got to Kentucky. But at the end of the day, we are going to be arguing about it. And they made themselves one of the most nationally relevant programs in college basketball.
It was time. It was time for him to move past out of Kentucky. I mean, that happens. It's a place that it's one of those jobs where it's national championship or bust. That's the job. I don't think there's any question. Credit to Arkansas. We talked about it. We've been going back and forth talking about with Arkansas. Jeff said second best job. Whether you believe that or not, the fan base is incredible. That, if you've ever been there, played there, unbelievable support, unbelievable fan base. There's no question in my mind he won't fail. I don't think there's national championship aspirations, expectations the way they were in Kentucky. He'll get them to the tournament. He'll get talent there. That was different. We all know he's won it before.
There are Final Four expectations.
Yeah, well,
there are. Of course there are.
It's
They're going to pay
always
him
there,
$8
Jeff, but
million.
they're not going to. It's not Kentucky. That's all I'm saying. It's not. The expectations are not Kentucky.
Fair.
That's all I'm saying.
I don't know if anything is Kentucky.
Everybody has expectations. Everybody wants to get in the tournament. But I'm not going to sit here and take away Nolan Richardson's resume and tell me that the expectation every year is winning the national championship at Arkansas.
Here's my thing. Like,
he changes that, though.
No, he does.
He changes that. Now
but make no mistake about it. This is not a, hey, feel great story for Arkansas Razorbacks men's basketball. This program, it's not like they just elevated themselves. No, they had one bad year. Before that, they went to 3 straight Sweet 16s and eights. There's a standard in place. I actually think that this is worse for John Calipari than it is for Kentucky by a wide margin. You know why? If he is losing back-to-back years or not making the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, that fan base is immediately going to go, Eric Musselman got us here. We can't even get there. Kentucky had to find a way to divorce. This gives them an out in that marriage. They now can find their next leader, and it will be the right leader for them.
Yeah, I just think now with Kentucky fans basically saying we don't want you here anymore.
Right.
And now he goes to an in-league rival. I think he's going to be more motivated than he's been since he took over at Kentucky.
I'll say this. There are still adjustments that need to be made if he's going to answer the bell and get to a Final Four.
Well said.
There's still
What's the biggest thing he has to do?
Stop recruiting just freshmen.
No.
You can't do it with just freshmen.
You can't do it with just freshmen, but I think he has to reinvent himself.
How about hire the right staff?
No. Listen to his staff. That's the thing. I won't get dismissive and say you don't know if he has the right staff. If he's not listening to his staff? Maybe he's an older school coach. A lot of these older guys that's the way they were brought up, and that's the way they coach. Go get me players, I'll do the rest. And that's all I'm saying. So you're only as good as your fucking head coach. Your head coach allows you to be.
Can I ask this question? Who would you rather have running your program right now? Eric Musselman or John Calipari?
Do I have to pick between those two?
I would probably take Cal.
Yes.
I would probably.
Isn't it a good question?
It is.
I would probably take Calipari.
My point is, if you're an Arkansas fan, I think they're thrilled.
Here's the thing.
They should be.
Here's the thing.
Should they be, though?
RC
Yes,
said this,
they should be.
Why? Why should Arkansas fans be thrilled?
Because it was Chris Jans
yes.
or Bucky McMillan and John
But,
Calipari. John Calipari is going to get talent.
This was the home run.
He's going to get talent.
This was the home run.
So they're going to be relevant. Now, again, can he – it's roster construction.
Yes.
It comes down to – he's never been a great X's and O's coach, but you know what? When you got more talent and you got veterans and you got balance, then to me,
at the end of the day, what is this game about? Jimmy's and Joe's. And that's what he's going to be able to get. And I think the point that you made, and you said this yesterday, and I think you're right about this. He basically got run out of Lexington, right? This is a guy that has as big of an ego as anybody in college basketball. And they were like, you're not good enough anymore. We want you gone. I think that that's going to make him say, okay, F y'all, watch what I'm about to do. Watch what you did. Look at the mistake that you made telling me to get out of here. Watch what's going to happen now. I think that's what he's going to do.
They were spoiled. You look at the first half of his career, and then you look at Kentucky, and then you look at the second half. And that's where the difference. And they got spoiled when they gave him that lifetime deal. They made the assumption that this is the way it's going to be. And then it changed. College basketball changed. And I think one of the things why I say I don't want to overreact so much with the freshmen, because also we're about to get rid of this COVID year. We're about to
not
get
this year, though. Not this year.
But
Yeah,
I'm saying you got one more year. And then after that,
I agree with
you won't have as many 25, 26-year-old guys.
The only thing
the importance of some of these younger guys having to play would be important. Now, I'm not saying you got to rely on them, and that's part of where we're saying he has to make an adjustment. And I think he will.
The only thing I will say to that is I do think, and you're right, trust me, I hear what you're saying, but with NIL making it so that players leaving school is no longer a financial decision, right? We're getting guys like Hunter Dickinson back for a fourth year. You're getting guys like R.J. Davis back for a fourth year, where they reach a certain point and they say, I got to start making money. Now you can start making that money in college. There's an argument to be made that Hunter Dickinson and R.J. Davis and some players like that could make more money next year as a college basketball player than they will in any year playing professional basketball.
No, I don't debate that. But the reason they have the year is COVID.
No.
And so once that's over with,
but I'm talking about this year. I'm talking about this year.
You got a guy with money and resources to say, you know what? Now I can go get that guy off another roster and bring him to Arkansas.
That's what I think he needs to do. That's what I think he needs to do. It's not just going out and getting the best freshman. It's go out and get the best. Do the same thing that you were doing before, but instead of saying, I want these 18-year-olds, say, I want these 21-year-olds. Go get me the best players that are in the portal instead of saying, go get me the best freshmen in college basketball.
That becomes really expensive and
oh my God.
They just spent $8 million on a coach.
They just spent $8 million on a coach.
They're not the only team that has the resources. So we're acting as if he's got a blank check, and it's easy to say, oh, go give me Hunter Dickinson, go give me R.J. Davis. I think
here's the interesting discourse on this. Based on all that you've reported on and that others have reported on, and myself, just what we've all heard, it comes off as some really interesting discourse off of that televised interview between Cal and Mitch Barnhart. That in the last 10, 12 days, Cal starts to peak at what can be with Kentucky. And he didn't feel supported. He didn't feel like it was at the same level whatsoever.
Yeah, because he and Barnhart haven't seen eye to eye for years. You know, they don't have that relationship they had when Cal first got there. And Barnhart's getting to the end of his career, and I think he wanted to make a move this year. But I think that $32 million was a little hefty, even though he was never going to have to pay $32 million because Cal would have got another job and there would have been an offset. Listen, let's talk candidates.
I was just going to ask, who do you think right now? I mean, we know some of the obvious ones. Who's your lead horse in this race?
I would say if you're putting a gun to my head, who Kentucky ends up getting at the end of the day, I think it's going to be Scott Drew. I do. I just think everything fits. Now, again, we don't know. Mitch Barnhart's just starting this process. But here's what Scott Drew has. It's kind of the opposite of John Calipari in a lot of ways. He's got no ego. As you said, John Calipari has probably 1A or 1B with your boy over in Stores with the biggest ego right now in college basketball. Scott Drew is easy to deal with. Easy. You don't think Mitch Barnhart wants that at the end of his career here? Scott Drew has won a national title in the last few years. He's had success in the NCAA tournament. He's been able to recruit pros in Waco, Texas. He's built a program, honestly, that was at the absolute bottom and made it something where every year now we're talking about him as a Final Four contender. He's got a buyout of $4.5 million, which is reasonable. He kisses babies. He shakes hands. He'll go out in the community. What's the downside of Scott Drew? I don't really see one if he wants to bring his family to Lexington.
Yeah, look, you said this last night on the stream that we did. What if Scott Drew doesn't win? Like, what happens if he doesn't have success at Kentucky. Now, I just don't see any world where if he got that job, he doesn't have success as the head coach of Kentucky. I would still look. I know it's $18 million for the buyout or whatever it is.
Nate Oates.
I would go get Nate Oates. It's just you can't take the money with you, man.
No.
Nate Oates for me, and I do the same thing because of what you just said. My concern is it's Baylor. They'll build a statue of you there. That's your home. That's what you made that program. It'd be tough to leave.
We've got a break coming up. After this, we are going to talk UConn and Purdue, the best two teams in college basketball, squaring off for the title. That's next.
The best month of the year is here, which is why you need to know that we are partnered with BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines for making all of our picks and predictions, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use bonus code FIELD, and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's the best part. All you need to do is deposit and bet $10 of your hard-earned money to get it. This is what you have to do to make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using that bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll get up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the rest of the NCAA tournament. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boost, and the thing that I love the most, a nice little parlay boost, as well as a ridiculous array of prop bets for anything that you could possibly imagine betting on. From odds on getting to the Final Four to national championship futures, I'm calling it right now. BetMGM is the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app. Use that code FIELD and sign up today. And while I've got you, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of 68 content you get for free is to engage with us. Rate and review the pod in any podcast app. Like and share the YouTube videos that you enjoy. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to the Field of 68. We are live ahead in the national championship game tonight between UConn and Purdue at BetMGM. We're at Flanker's Sports Bar Elite Spot. We thank our partners at BetMGM for having us here ahead of the national title game. We'll get to keys to UConn and Purdue in a little bit. Let's get back to this John Calipari move to Arkansas, an all-time move in the history of college hoops in terms of a coach intra-conference. After a vote of confidence, after his AD saying, I'm going to bring you back, he turns and he goes to Fayetteville. So let's get back to this Kentucky search here. We talked about Nate Oates. We talked about Scott Drew. There are some names being thrown out. They feel rather unrealistic, but who else are you looking at here?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first call is going to go to Dan Hurley. And it should. It should. I mean, here's a guy who's, facing Matt Painter for defending national champion and win his second straight title. So it should go to Dan Hurley. And in a lot of ways, Dan Hurley fits, right? He fits that Kentucky fan base. I just don't know if Andrea Hurley will, will sign off on going to Lexington, Kentucky at the end of the day. I'm kidding.
No,
sort of.
I disagree on the idea that he fits there. I think he fits much better in the place where he is one of them. He is one of the, let's call them what they are, Northeast assholes that are the fans, the UConn fan base. I'm one of them. I could say it. Please don't be mad at me. I think that he fits better in that environment than he would at a place like Kentucky where,
what if Kentucky offers him $10 million a year, Rob? He's making $5.5 right now. Bonuses have gotten him to about over $7 if he wins the national title tonight. He's got a buyout. It would cost him about $1 million a year over the next 5 years to leave. Now, again, Kentucky could pay that buyout, but there could be a significant financial difference between Kentucky and what UConn could do.
Get every penny that you.
What are you giving? What are you giving?
Whatever he wants. Whatever he asks.
Gabrielle's okay with this.
Whatever he wants.
Gabrielle's okay with this.
What am I giving?
That's what I said. What are you giving?
Now, here's the deal.
I agree that
Rob.
I agree, like Rob said.
Let's
I
go.
think he's an asshole. I agree with that. Talking about you, not Danny. But no,
Thank you for clarifying.
Right, I'm going to be clear. Why? I get what you guys were saying. He's literally home, and he's built that program, and he's got it in autopilot. Why would he want to go to
tell you
Kentucky?
why.
And that's why I say when we talk about him and Drew and these guys, they got their programs in autopilot and they're in cruise control.
He doesn't want an autopilot.
And what I mean by that is the legwork is laid. And I don't mean like they're ready to shut it down, but I'm meaning that they're going to reap the benefits of what they've built at those programs to go somewhere else and start over where if you don't win it, because they've been around long enough to know how difficult this is. You take these other coaches.
This isn't Billy Gillespie starting over though at Kentucky like he did without the portal.
But
they don't have the equity, I think, saved up. If they don't do it instantly, and I mean instantly at Kentucky, that's it. They don't have any equity. Yes. They got equity built up. UConn can lose in the first round.
Here's the thing about it.
One thing. Can I? Yeah. I think he would leave if he wasn't in the Big East, if he didn't have New York City.
Sure, no.
The only sign that you leave UConn is if after this season you talk to your AD again, Dave Benedict, and he says back to you, Brett Yormark's calling me again, and now maybe we might move.
This will be the championship?
I think it's only if he says, Dave Benedict says, hey, all we can do is, 6.7. We can't really raise it. We can't get any closer. And Kentucky's offered him $10 million.
I don't think UConn is going to lose that bidding war. They'll give him $8 million if they have to. The Connecticut coach, the idea of UConn, who could win a 6 national championships tonight and be tied for third all time, losing their coach to anybody is a terrible embarrassment for the university. They're not going to lose Dan Hurley.
And here's the thing about it, right? And we talked about this a little bit last night. Part of the reason why a guy like a Scott Drew and a guy like a Dan Hurley is incentivized to stay at the place that they're at is because they've already proven that they could do everything that you want to do as a basketball coach, right? And you have people that love you. You have a university and an organization and a program and a boss that is there for you, that wants to keep you, that is incentivized to have you there and spend as much money as they need to. If you're someone like, let's just say Bruce Pearl, we talked about him last night, you have not been able to get to that national championship, right? You have not won it. And I do think that there is something to be said for being able to go someplace where you can make the next step in your career in terms of what you've been able to accomplish. I don't think that they're going to build a statue for Scott Drew and be like, Scott Drew is Baylor.
He is the program.
He is Baylor. Like, do you want to, I don't want to say burn that down, but you leave to go take Kentucky, there's going to be people at Baylor that are like, all right, well, if
they don't get back.
Call the guy who left Providence for Georgetown then.
Yes, like there's something.
That's been 1 year. That's been 1 year. Like, here's the thing. If you're Scott, you're going back.
I
don't think Dan Hurley is going to take it. Okay, I don't. So I'll say that right off the bat. But I do think there's a chance Scott Drew takes it because it's still Baylor. It's still Baylor. It's not UConn. It's not a blue blood. I think in his mind, he's got to be concerned about the fact that who knows if he can sustain this at the highest level. Who knows if they have the financial resources to compete every year at that level like Kentucky can. Every year you're going to have whatever the hell you want at Kentucky. At Baylor, you got to fight for it. This dude wasn't even flying private for a lot of the flights that he took to recruit.
You're also going to look at about how many years before a new AD comes in. And if this program isn't at a national championship level, when a new AD comes in, now we're in another cycle. Because now you're on the clock. And the same reason we talking about they got the money to pay to get you, they got the money to get you out of there.
Can I bounce some? I'm just going to bounce some other fun names around. You can say yay or nay.
Can we just, before we do, can we talk Nate Oates? Are you going to throw him out there? I want to start there because you talk about the money to get you out, right? Why wouldn't you spend the $18 million to go get Nate? Like, I think Nate Oates would be that's who I would go after first. All due respect to Dan Hurley, all due respect to Scott Drew. I think the first guy I would go after is Nate Oates because I think that he would bring. I think he has the personality to make it work with that fan base living in the fishbowl, right? I think that he plays the style that is going to work at SEC, and he's done it at a place where you have resources like Kentucky. That would be the first name that I would have to. And $18 million, like, I understand that you pay, $4.5 million for Scott Drew, I think you said, and $1 million a year for 5 years. So let's just call it $5 million for Dan Hurley. Like, It's Kentucky. It's
If they
SEC
got it,
football
Rob,
money.
like you said, if they got it, they got it, right?
There's
Yeah.
always enough money.
You know what I mean? Like, we can't say they got money to do all these things and then say, oh, because he got an $18 million buyout.
No,
I've seen coaches get fired and get $18 million, $16 million.
No, and
So it's worth it.
in the SEC, the money wars are especially real.
He
So these
doesn't
people
have
in
the
Lexington-
ties there, I think, that the other two guys have is the biggest difference. I think that's the difference of why he fits more, is that we're only talking about money. And big as that number is, why would Hurley leave? Drew Baylor, why would you leave those programs? I got national championships
Baylor is
there.
in UConn. Baylor is in UConn. Scott Drew's 52, right around there. Does he envision himself being at Baylor for the rest of his career, or does he look back if he does that and say, you know what, maybe I should have taken a shot at a place like Kentucky where I can honestly compete every single year with anybody, somebody. Right now, I mean, he's been able to get really high-level talent there. It's not easy.
No. And if not now, then when? If you don't make the move
This would
now,
be
you're
it.
never going to do it.
You're done. You're done. This is the job if you're Scott Drew. So you've got to really, really consider it and think
You
about
have
it.
to. No, you have to consider it.
Right.
But you mentioned Ed Cooley. I think that is, if I am Scott Drew or Dan Hurley, I am calling Ed and getting his perspective on what is your thoughts on leaving a place where you were absolutely beloved to go to a place where you got to start building it from the ground up again. It might be a better job.
Big difference.
It might be a
Big
better. No, I know.
difference. Georgetown's been in the friggin' doldrums for years.
Let me
You're
throw a
not
couple
wrong.
out. Let
It's
me throw
still-
a couple out
okay,
there.
Let's do it.
Okay? And say, no shot, or you never know. Okay. Rick Pitino.
Zero. No shot. No shot. None.
Mark Pope.
I'd love to see it.
I mean, down the list. Mark Pope's done a great job, and he played at Kentucky, but I think he's down the list. I mean, have we mentioned Bruce Pearl?
Sean Miller.
Have we mentioned Bruce Pearl?
Bruce Pearl.
He should be high atop the list. I said this when we talked, 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
I said he might be the guy I'd hire. Now, again, if you're telling me I can have anybody and money doesn't matter, I probably am going Nate Oates. I'm not sure Nate Oates would take it, guys. Even if Mitch Barnhart says, you know what, we'll pay the $18 million. We don't care. Nate Oates has it rolling there. He's going to get NIL this year. He didn't really have it. He had $900,000 this past year. So to me, I'm not even – Nate Oates might turn this thing down if Mitch Barnhart came his way, which I think he will.
I don't think he wants to be at the place where he is the guy. If you're at Alabama, the football coach is the guy.
I think I disagree with that. I just think he knows he's in a really good spot, and he likes his AD, Greg Byrne. They work well, and he's got a Final Four team, and now he did that without big-time NIL. In his mind, thinking like, man, when I get really good NIL, maybe I can win this whole thing.
You guys know how well-respected Kyle is amongst coaches because he is that guy. He is that guy. And if that guy decides to leave, that says something to these other guys. If they don't have to go. And all these coaches we're naming, they don't have to go. It is Kentucky. But there's a fishbowl effect that these guys deal with, and some of them may choose not to want to deal with that if they don't have to. And we're choosing guys right now that have their programs rolling and don't need to do it.
That's what makes this such a fascinating discussion, because if you make that move to Lexington, the pressures of that job are at a level standing in a class of their own.
And let's be honest, even for Hurley, he's won. If he wins tonight, right, that's 2.
They'll be building.
He may never win it again. That's how hard it is.
Sure.
And our
Then he has to go somewhere else and win it. Like, it's hard. It's so freaking hard.
And you know
man.
what? We got a break, but if he wins another one tonight, they'll start building a statue for him in stores. His Hall of Fame bid will be well underway. Lot to get to tonight. What does this mean for UConn? What does this mean for Matt Painter and Purdue? Who's going to win Zach Edey versus Donovan Kling in that 1v1 matchup?
Hold on, Fanta. Before you say anything, you're about to head out. You're about to head to the stadium, right?
Yes, sir.
You had something happen today. You got yourself a nice little reward. John Fanta won the USBWA Rising Star Award, and I wanted to make sure that we recognized it. I wanted to make sure that we acknowledged it. I wanted to make sure that we celebrated you. And look, Field of 68 is not what it is without you being a part of it. You've helped us grow. We love you, man. We're so proud of you. The only issue I have is that says Rising Star. Nothing rising about it, man. You're already a star.
Listen.
We love you. We're proud of you.
No,
Congratulations.
the best part of you is how you do it. The best part of you isn't that you do it, it's the way you do it. And you do it with a smile on your face. You work your ass off. You work too hard. And listen, you know how your generation is, right? You set a great example for your generation because of how hard you work, how you deal with people. And again, obviously the talent is there. We know that.
I tell people this all the time. They're like, what is Fanta like in real life? He is exactly who he is on camera. None of that's fake. That comes through. It shines through. And it is part of the reason why we love working with you. We love having you on. And you are where you are in your career right now.
Fanta, I'll say this. It's funny when you get into this, as I did, everybody will call and give you suggestions about who you should be like, what you should do. And I really thought of you because I was like, man, I'm going to be me. And if it's good enough, it's good enough. That's right. And you're obviously good enough. And I thank you for taking that nugget from you, just being who I am.
And you've rubbed off on me. I'm a much kinder, nicer person now.
And your daughter has done that too, who just crushed it at the Women's Final Four. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to work with our entire crew. We're going to head to the stadium now. I really appreciate the love, and I love the Field of 68. I love being a part of this family. You guys elevate the game. After this, UConn Purdue breakdown. Stay with us.
Whether you are a world-class athlete or a podcaster like myself, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. After a 6-month season loaded with cross-country travel and late nights, I can promise you that proper recovery is a priority for me these days. That is why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this episode of the Field of 68. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers that's powered by the Energy Enhancement System, or the EE system. If you haven't heard of the EE system yet, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. Whether you're here in New Jersey or at hundreds of other locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. Are you interested in experiencing the EE system technology for yourself? Well, all you got to do is go to unifiedhealing.com/field to learn more and find a center near you. You can find that link in the description below. That's unified, UNIFYD, healing.com/field. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment, and before you undertake a new healthcare regimen, including the EE system.
Welcome back to BetMGM. We lied. We're still on here with you before John Henson comes in and makes his grand
entrance. Grand entrance. And where's his money going? That's the big thing. Usually you want to ride with John Henson because
he's been hot.
Yeah, he has been hot.
He's been hot.
All right, so let's dive into this national championship game, guys. I cannot wait for this. I think we all were talking before the show. RC and I, our buddy Sean Paul said, so who do you guys got? And RC and I had differing opinions. And what did we say? It's a great thing. It means that there's real debate. Right. What are you most interested in when this game gets tipped off? And what do you think this game comes down to?
So, we've talked about the big boys over and over and over and over. And the more I listen to you guys talk, to be honest, the more I'm like, it's not going to come down to those guys. It's not. It's coming down to the perimeter trio. Because, again, you look at Purdue, and they're going to be a little bit overmatched physically. Lawyer, Braden Smith, Lance Jones. Lance Jones is big, but it's not long. And then you look at UConn, and Tristan Newton's been a rock for the most part for them. Cam Spencer's been arguably, and maybe not even arguably, the greatest portal addition this season because of what he brings all over the place. Intangibles, shooting, toughness, decision-making, all of it. And Castle, listen, he's a difference maker, as he showed the other night. So my big thing is, can Purdue's perimeter hold their own? UConn's perimeter trio. If they can, then Purdue has a chance to win this thing. If they get overwhelmed, it could get ugly.
I agree, but I think it's the same interiorly. I think, can Zach Edey overwhelm UConn inside? And I think that's what makes this game so hard to predict. Overwhelm, I think that they've held their own. Can they play better? Particularly, can Braden Smith be better than he was in the Final Four?
Why do you
He
like?
has to be. He has to be.
Yes.
He has to be.
Why do you like Purdue plus 6.5?
Because I think they have the most dominant force in the game. And if he controls the paint on the inside, his balance, it just changes everything. And I think we can talk about the guards in the backcourt. If UConn catches fire and shoot the ball the way they're capable of shooting, I think this is the Zach Edey alone on the inside. I think he provides something that even UConn hasn't faced yet. A guy that controls the paint, and how effective will they be against him on the inside?
Yeah, I still think it's going to come down to the matchup between, and I think that UConn put Steph Castle on Braden Smith, and I think everything is going to come down to how Braden Smith handles that length, that athleticism, that defensive pressure. I told you this the other day, and I know you're going to yell at me about it. I know what you're going to say. Jaden Taylor and Steph Castle are different players. Blah, 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 blah,
No, I said their pressure's different.
Their pressure's different.
On full court, right.
But I think that Braden Smith's ability to get Purdue into their offense is going to be what determines whether or not they can win this game. And the reason why I think UConn wins and why I think I like UConn to cover is I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I think he's going to have a very, very difficult night with the length and athleticism of Castle. Look, Tristan Newton is a legit 6'4", 6'5". He's a legit 200. He's a big, strong dude.
He grows every time that Dauster talks
he actually
about
shrunk.
him.
Last time I said he was 6'5", and today I said 6'4", 6'5".
How was the drive here today?
I felt horrible in the back seat.
Can we actually talk
Horrible
for
in the
1
backseat.
second about how far Rob Dauster threw a football today?
Okay,
Ask
how far?
him. Ask him.
How far? How far did you throw a football today?
40 yards.
It's like 28 yards. Maybe he hit 30.
How many did you throw?
RC, how far did you throw it? You saw him.
No, the day I was inside, I came out late. You guys
didn't
already
see him?
I didn't see him.
Yeah. It was embarrassing.
You seem to like Purdue plus 6.5 too.
I do.
Tell me why. Tell me how that's going to happen.
Well, again, they have the best player on the floor, and if Klingen gets into foul trouble, and it's a big if, but if he does, and you got to bring help, I think Zach Edey's a good enough passer, and he's got shooters all over the floor, right? Mason Gillis out there has been phenomenal this year. We know Fletcher Lura, when he gets going early, that's a key. For me, for Purdue, you got to get him going early for a couple reasons. One, for his confidence. Two, what does he do for that Purdue team energy-wise? He brings it, and they're like this. They don't play with a lot of emotion. And I think this team tonight, they have to play with some emotion.
You know what I think that UConn needs to do? I think one of the keys to this game is, the more I think about it, is try to get out and run. Try to get this into a higher possession game. Try to up the tempo, because if you start running like this, if you have Donovan Klingen beating people down the floor, if you get Samson Johnson in for his 12 to 15 minutes and he's sprinting down the floor, and you make Zach Edey have to run,
yeah,
the best way to get Zach Edey out of the game is to make him go like this. Because as good a shape as he's in, part of the reason why Purdue walks it up, runs their stuff slowly, gets into their offense with 18 seconds left on the shot clock, is because they're trying to limit the number of possessions so they don't have to take the big fella off the
Does on the interior, right?
Yeah.
Right. He draws fouls. It doesn't matter who he's playing. That's what he does. And we all can agree that this UConn team is different when Donovan Klingen is on the floor.
Yeah.
That's the matchup. This team doesn't have the luxury of doing something different and saying, all right, I'm going to put a caravan on him and leave Klingen on the they're going to try that matchup. No. So it's going to be Klingen on Zach Edey. Can he defend him without fouling? Is that the scouting report?
What would you be willing to bet that there's a technical foul assessed tonight?
Wow. Rob Dauster's half of the company.
Wow. You think it's going to happen?
No, I don't
think
know.
We're
With
gonna see a
Hurley,
quick trigger.
with Hurley, it's going to be interesting tonight because, listen, he's had it pretty easy in the previous 11 tournament games, right? Hasn't been much. There was a little game pressure against Alabama, and he started to lose his mind a little bit. If they're down late or if it's close throughout, listen, Hurley was out of their coach's box. The rep kind of told him to go back. I forget which official it was. But these three refs aren't going to take any crap from him tonight.
And name them again, the crew tonight.
Yeah, with Jeffrey Anderson and who else we got?
Roger
tonight?
Ayers and Terry Oglesby. And somebody
right,
said to me,
right.
Ayers is not a Big Ten official. He didn't officiate Zach Edey at all this year.
Right.
I would think, Rob, this is the hardest assignment that these three could ever get.
I mean, look, it's
easy on the other side because Painter doesn't say a word.
Yeah, well,
He doesn't have to. He's got the bully.
Officiating, Zach, like it's just a. We talked about this a lot this week, right? Officiating Zach Edey. Is he actually foul? It's been a thing all year.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, it is so hard to officiate someone that is that big, that is that strong, and is be able to draw the contact that he draws. You cannot guard him without being as physical as possible. What's the line between being physical within the rules and being physical beyond the rules? What is the line between what is a foul and what isn't a foul? And I think where that gets set might end up being what determines this game. Because if they're calling it tight and Donovan Clingan picks up 2 in the first 4 minutes, then that completely changes everything about this matchup.
I think it's complementary shot making. I think if Mason Gillis and Lance Jones are hitting shots, but on the other side, and Lawyer, but if Caravan and Spencer are doing their thing, that whoever comes out on top in that area is probably.
I just hope it doesn't get to the point where that is the talking point after the game.
It'll be the talking point if it happens because that's the way Purdue plays. We're talking about playing physical. Clingan physically isn't – he's young. He's not physically strong enough to push and be but so physical against Zach Edey. And then Samson Johnson's the same. He's actually smaller. So he's not going to win that physical battle. So do you sacrifice saying, hey, guys, you guys got 10 fouls. We're going to use them and figure it out. Because if you're not. Painter's calm because he got the bully.
Do you think at all that Hurley's going to throw it down at Clingan at all?
No.
You don't think he's going to at all?
No, I think
try to make Edey work at all.
Yes. No.
Pick up a foul.
Because that's not his. That's not his.
I know it's
I
not.
think what
I
they're
get
going
it.
to do is they're going to have Clingan on the perimeter, have him setting screens, let him pass the ball. Because the one thing that he's really done this year is improve his passing. I think we might even see Donovan. Here's my prediction. I think Donovan Clingan shoots a 3-pointer today.
I agree with that.
I think he shoots a 3-pointer today.
I think
he makes a 3-pointer.
He may say,
I think
it better be one.
I think he misses his 1
It better
3,
be
and that'll
one,
be it.
and then that's it.
Right, exactly.
Like, you're not feeding your family with Donovan
And
Clingan
you know what?
shooting threes.
If Purdue watches Donovan Clingan shooting threes,
They're okay with that.
What do they say?
They're okay with that.
Keep it going, baby.
Let's talk about what this means. What would this mean tonight if Matt Painter wins this championship? What would it mean?
Validation. It's validation. The guy's been crucified for the last year and really for the last few years. They've had some bad early losses in the NCAA tournament. Remember Tony Bennett went through it, right? He went through it.
Bill Self went through it.
A lot of guys have gone through it, but
Jim
we
Calhoun
know
went
how
through it.
good of a coach Matt. Well, they all go through it till they win one, right? But
win.
Painter's had some bad early losses, and again, the best thing about Painter is what? The dude's accountable. The dude's super accountable, honest. He's just you don't find a lot of guys like him in college basketball. You just don't. So to me, I know a lot of people are going to say, no, Conzo Martin said it to us the other day, right, yesterday. He was like, even if he loses. No, I think this is validation for Matt Painter, putting him in the upper echelon of all the coaches because, again, it'll solidify him as a Hall of Fame coach.
I think he's already there.
I do too, but this
takes you to a
different level.
With you. It's like we talk about with players. Once you win it elevates you. You're at the table now. And you don't need to win multiple championships at a place like Purdue. You just need to get that one and be a consistent winner, and you're at the table. It's whether people appreciate the style or like it or not. This game is so intriguing because if we talk about the matchups, Clingan could go out and play a hell of a game. He just has to do it differently. He's got to be on the move, dribble handoff, which perimeter guy steps up. I mean, there's so many freaking storylines and who plays and how they plays in tonight. It's one of the two best teams all year. You can't get enough of it.
Now that Henson's here, I'm doing this live. Are you going to leave with me after this segment?
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm asking you for your game prediction.
There you go.
I'm going to take Purdue. I'm going to take Purdue. I'm going to go on a little bit of a limb here. I've been saying it the whole time. 6.5 points is too many, but I'm taking the Boilermakers here. I think they're going to follow Virginia and what they did and come back from probably the most embarrassing loss in NCAA tournament history and win this whole thing and beat the invincible UConn Huskies.
You can skip Rob because we know what Rob is.
Well, Rob's going to pick the game after this break. Start building that statue in stores after tonight. 13 is the magic number. UConn has won 11 straight NCAA tournament games by at least 13 points, 85-72. The Huskies, they match Billy Donovan's Gators and get it done. John Henson's prediction after this.
By now, you guys have surely heard about Autograph, an app founded by Tom Brady with the intention of disrupting the way that fans consume content covering their favorite teams. This is how the app works. All of the podcasters, bloggers, and digital creators covering a team have their content sent to that team's page in the Autograph app. Instead of having to bounce from site to site or trying to navigate the safer workspaces on Twitter, you can just scroll through Autograph. This isn't a hard sell. This is the truth. I am a UConn fan, and I use the Autograph app to keep up with the writers I read and the pods that I listen to about UConn basketball. The best part is that every piece of content that you consume gives you reward points. The more you get, the more chances you have at things like discounted tickets to games and the grand prize, a trip to the LA Regional and a spot in a suite for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games. Here's the best part. We've partnered with Autograph to donate $1 to the V Foundation every time someone downloads the app using the code F68, with a minimum of $2,500 getting donated. The app is free. So download, use the code F68, help us raise a little bit of money for cancer research and give Autograph a try. I promise you it will be worth it. And while we're here, a quick reminder, make sure that you subscribe to the Daily. We have new landing pages with deep dives into each coaching change, as well as a tracker that provides scouting reports on the transfers that have entered the portal that you are going to want to know about. Hit the link below to subscribe.
Welcome back to BetMGM Sportsbook here in Glendale, Arizona, outside of State Farm Stadium. I got John Henson with me. I got Randolph Childress with me. I'm Rob Dauster. I am not John Fanta. So we're not going to have that same level of energy, but we are going to talk about this game from a little bit of a betting perspective and kind of break it down there. Henson, as we were signing off for the last commercial break, John Fanta said, we're going to get John Henson's prediction next. And what did you yell out to everybody in the sportsbook?
I like the under in this game. Teams, they're both having particularly, shot it well. You said the first half. I like that even more.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last game, UConn first half went under by a lot. So, nerves, defense, scouting.
Second game in 3 days.
Second game in 3 days. I think 145 is a good number. I like that to go under.
Yeah, I like the first half under because I think that these teams are going to fill each other out at the start.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be some, okay, what is UConn doing that's different? What is Purdue doing that's different? I don't think that it's going to be pretty at the start. I think that we're going to have a very slow, low possession, step-by-step game throughout the first 20 minutes.
I think it's going to be 40 minutes of that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the under. Two of the most efficient offenses, but two really good defenses as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's going to be a high-level cat-and-mouse game that could go. We obviously could go any direction. I'm really surprised with the spread.
Yeah.
Like, I really am at a championship level.
Yeah.
We talk about this being the two best teams. I don't see, 6.5, 7?
7.5 now.
7.5 now?
I hate that number.
That is.
I hate that number.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
That's
I
high.
like
That's
Purdue.
high.
If I would, yeah, it's a lot.
Do you
That's a
think
lot.
Purdue does it, when you play against teams like UConn that do you think Purdue is on the raise, just get back, no crashing?
See, we talk about styles and fights. Yeah. I thought Alabama would be the matchup against Purdue that I thought would be that I would have been concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
That style, because it's going to be 5 out, and it was going to force you to be, all right, Zach Edey, you're going to have to be on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to come out. You're going to have to. That's the thing why I don't think that UConn has not shot it well. They did shoot it well. Alabama. They shot second half. Half they shot it better, and they finished 10 of 25. That's the best game they've had in this tournament run of shooting. Stetson, it went 9 of, I think, 22 or 9 of 23, something like that. Prior to that, they struggled, and we talked about those 3 games going 11 of 61. That's going to be so big for them. That's the concern that I have for UConn. It's going to be, I think they're going to have their best three-point shooting game in the 6 games of this tournament in order for them to win the championship.
Yeah, I think you're right. The thing that worries me about the under, the way that I see that kind of blowing up in our face, Henson, is that I mentioned this earlier. I would not be surprised if UConn made an emphasis on trying to get up and down the floor, trying to play a higher possession game, making Zach Edey run more than he has in the past, try to get it so he's got to sit for 3, 4, 5 minutes, or for the last 5 minutes, he's gassed. He just has no energy left in the tank.
Yeah, you wonder that because we'll talk about the Iowa game yesterday. They started off torching, and eventually they ended up, they were 15 points to the over live, and it came all the way back down in the second half. So that could be scary because if the game starts going like this, they could really get up there because they both can score. Like you said, they're efficient scoring teams. So that does worry me, but I think 2 big 7-footers banging down there, and I think Purdue's going to put an emphasis on getting back, on the raise of the shot. Braden Smith, floor balance. I don't like the points anymore. I need to delete that tweet 6.5. If y'all listening, don't take the points. But if I wasn't to take points, I may buy up Purdue to 9.5, a couple points. I don't think with the style of play this game's going to have – for Purdue to win with the style of play they're going to have to play, I don't know if UConn's going to blow them out the water.
Yeah, I think if you think UConn's going to win, you probably
should take a minus 190 on the –
Yeah, I don't think UConn wins a close game. I think if you think it's close, then Purdue's going to find a way to win it.
Ooh. Purdue money line is not – for a team that is 7-0 against the spread when they are underdogs for this season, it's great value.
No, but that's the funny part. We're forced to pick. Yeah. But I agree, really, how you feel. Yeah. If there's going to be a blowout, I think it's UConn.
Yeah.
If it's a close game, a two possession game, I think it's Purdue. And that's what's so crazy about the spread. Like, if it's a close game, I favor Purdue. If this game gets in the 80s, I favor UConn. Anything up-tempo, I think it has to be below 75 for Purdue to win. If it gets into the 80s, I think it's UConn.
Let me ask you this, Henson. What is the most important matchup in this game? The most important individual matchup?
All the former players that have played Purdue, everyone's talked about it that's beat Purdue. You got to control the big fella. In the words of Boo Boo, you got to control the big fella. If you can control the big fella, you have a chance. Now, what's control, RC? If he
30,
shoots
20, 25.
And he shoots at 50%, maybe 12 or 24.
But, John, the defense dictates that, though.
Yeah.
Like Tennessee said, hey, we're going to stay home and we're going to guard you one-on-one. And he got a 40-piece.
Yeah.
He got 40. And then when you double him, he still gets his number. So it's just that's the key we don't know right now. What is UConn and how they're going to guard him defensively? They haven't doubled. That's not what they do. So I don't anticipate they're going to get to the national championship game with one day practice and then start
playing. They'll start playing one-on-one.
They'll fill it out.
They will say, okay, we got Donovan Clingan. He is Kling Kong. He is the Great Wall of Bristol.
Yes.
He is one of the most impactful defensive players
until
that
he
we've
gets
seen
his
in college basketball.
That's what
Let's
I
see
worry
what
about.
happens one-on-one. I think they do that, and if he goes, he normally comes out around the 14, 15-minute mark. That's when he gets his first blow. If he makes it there without picking up a foul, I think they keep doing that. I think they stay with him one-on-one. If he picks up a foul in the first 2 minutes, then I think you should see him start sending help.
I think Clingan, too, he plays a little faster with a little more anxiety down there. So, and I don't think Edey's going to get in foul trouble. Clingan's not some post guy that's going to get you, but Edey could get Clingan in a bad way. Clingan can try to block a few shots, or he's younger. I don't know, man. I don't know. I need to watch some film.
Just don't foul.
As a UConn fan, this is what I'll tell you. Donovan,
don't
straight
foul.
up.
Don't foul.
Straight up. Don't do this.
He should concede the basket.
Edey doesn't straight up. He should be okay.
Yeah,
Edey's
straight up.
Make
Make him go through your chest.
Straight
up. Make him go through your chest. don't bring your arms down because they're going to be looking for it.
That's the
They're
hardest
going to be
thing
looking
to
for
do.
it. It is.
John, you know,
It
listen,
is.
he's still relatively young.
Yeah.
You and I both know when you're playing against a guy that is the 2-time National Player of the Year at your position, you're taking this like, yo, I'm the lottery pick.
If
I'm the guy too. Like, there's a level of pride for him to say, I want him one-on-one.
I think too, if you watched it, I'm sure Coach Hurley, if you watched the NC State game, I thought they did a fairly decent job early of digging, making him think. He had a few turnovers. So you wonder if UConn implements that same strategy. Hey, look, we're going to dig. When he turns, dig, get out. Because that's
as soon as you put the ball on the floor,
Can I
send the second.
You wonder if they're going to do that.
You know who I think is – we talked about all the storylines and all the matchups. Who wins the 4 spot?
That's what I think
is the key to me of winning this game.
Yep.
I think UConn guards will be where UConn guards have been. I think 2 of the 3 guards for Purdue with Lawyer, Smith, and Jones, 2 of those 3 will play well. I think Eaton will win the statistical matchup. Klingon will have his moments. He and Johnson will have their moments. Who wins that 4? That combination from Purdue
you want to know why?
Versus Caravan. Who wins that matchup totally, to me, is the one that
there's one reason, and one reason alone why I disagree with that take.
Why?
Because Jeff Goodman said the same thing yesterday.
Oh, God, Jeff said that.
Yeah,
shit.
You're out.
Can I take it back?
Yeah, take it back.
I'm disqualified.
Delete the tweet.
But I agree with
that. Yeah. So I think, and I was just on him before you got here, I think the matchup that determines this game is, I'm assuming it's Steph Castle that'll be on Braden Smith. I think they're going to try to force him to start running their offense from the logo. I think they're going to try to make him step out 3, 4, 5, 6 feet. They're going to try to make it so that when you throw that entry pass into Zach Edey, he's got to take another step out. So he's got to back you down 2, 3 dribbles instead of letting him kind of seal there. Instead of when you run that Spain ball screen, instead of letting him catch it when he's at the rim, he's got to catch it a little bit further up the lane. I think you just push everything out and try to make it as far away from the basket as possible.
Yeah. On paper, I mean, UConn's a better team. Like just on paper. But then again, from a betting perspective, 7.5 is a lot of points. I do like UConn to win this thing.
All right, wait, we got 1 minute left. Give me your official prediction on who wins.
I'm going to go UConn.
You going where?
I'm going UConn. I've been riding with them for the last 2 years. I can't go. I almost had a bet on them because I've been.
If I'm betting, I like doing the points, but I somehow.
Just say it. Just say it. Purdue. You remember when he picked NC State yesterday?
What's the number? What's the money line on Purdue right now? What's that number?
Bring it up. Find out. Because if you bet money line on Purdue, I don't know if we're going to be able to keep hanging out, Henson. Might be the last time you see him on the field of 68 after dark. Listen, we will live from State Farm Stadium tonight at, it'll probably be about about midnight, 12:30, somewhere around there. We're going to have to wait till the game ends. We're going to have to wait for them to clear the floor, celebrations, cut down the nets. That normally takes about 45 minutes. We're going to have to wait for one shining moment, which will happen after the game. But we will be there. We will be coming to you live. We're going to be talking about UConn back-to-back or Purdue winning a title. See you tonight.